Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it has been quite a while since I've been back here. Life has been quite busy for me, but a lot has happened in the season. I have been watching most games at least, so I just haven't had time to make many videos, but now I will be hopefully back for a little while here. Gonna make a couple videos. First one we're gonna talk about today is going to be primarily talking about a season recap. How Milan has been doing, where we've been, where we're gonna go from here. And then the second one, which will follow up this one, will be more of what we're going to do in January, what should be our transfer activity, and what I think will be our best approach. So let's kind of start here with a brief rundown of how our season has gone so far. Currently, we sit in first place by 1 point, which is fantastic. There are a lot of teams, however, breathing down our necks: Inter, Napoli, and Atalanta. I don't necessarily think that we have stronger teams than those teams that are following us. I do think that Inter is the strongest team on paper for sure, especially given our recent injuries, which seems to be every year, which is a topic I will talk about a little bit later. Atalanta as well, they've been playing together for several years, so I do believe that while we probably have just as much quality in our team, maybe a little bit more, they have just as much, and they do have a little better cohesion than we have overall. And they have a much better attack, which is where we start to fall off and where we started to see ourselves fall off last season as well. And then Napoli, I feel like we are probably very equivalent to Napoli. It's probably the most even battle that I've seen is us and Napoli. But with Osimhen out, we take the kind of lead there. With Osimhen in, I feel we're very even. With Osimhen out, we do take the lead, so we edge them out. So we've got some very competitive teams breathing down our necks here, and it's going to be a really exciting second half of the Serie A season. We're hoping to round out some games here in the coming weeks against opponents who are not super difficult, besides Napoli, of course, but the rest of the opponents, we should be getting 3 points from most of these games if we have aspirations to win the Scudetto. Now, early on in the season, we were doing pretty well, undefeated for a long time, stumbled a little bit here and there, picked it back up, but other teams have stumbled exactly the same time that we have, so we've ended up in first place. Overall, I think we've done very well, and that has been in part to a few things. I believe that Mike Maignan has been an excellent choice for goalkeeper. He is the perfect replacement for Donnarumma. It was hard to leave, or for Donnarumma to leave, of course, as he was our homegrown talent, age 16, starting for us. But Maignan, I actually believe, is a far better athlete. He may not be a better goalie, they may be very similar, but he's a better athlete, and he's always trying hard, and I really like Mike Maignan, so I think that we did a great job there. He's been a big reason for our success. Davide Calabria has also been a massive reason for our success, been excellent on the right. It's too bad that he's currently injured. We could really use that boon in our sales, but Pierre Kalulu has stepped up, so that's been another bright spot. We have Fikayo Tomori, who is our best defender for sure, as he complements everybody very well. Sometimes him and Kyer don't necessarily complement each other. When they do step up together and make an aggressive plays, they can get beat. But overall, they have done a good job, and Fikayo Tomori has been our best defender. Simon Kyer, also injured now, and probably a season-ending injury, so we're going to need coverage probably for that role here, which I'll give some thoughts on that for our January topic next. Romagnoli has had a couple off games earlier, but then he actually has played great for most of his games. So I really can't blame Romagnoli at all for this year. Last year, for about half the year, he was off, but this year he has started off doing great. Plus, I think that the combination of him and Tomori, they complement each other the best of our center backs. One left-footed, one right-footed, and honestly, they just cover each other's strengths and weaknesses. Romagnoli is a better marker, more positionally sound. Fikayo Tomori is more aggressive and a better one-on-one defender. So I actually think they play great together, and is, when they're both firing on all cylinders, is our best pairing. Contrary to popular belief, most people would pick Kyer. And I would say when you pick the defenders individually, I think Kyer is actually better than Romagnoli. But together, I feel that Romagnoli and Tomori, when they can work it out, are a better duo. Left back Teo Hernandez has been very hit or miss. He's had his typical great games, but then he's also made some terrible mistakes that have actually cost us entire games. So he's been hit or miss. He's still been great overall, but this season he's been a little more error prone. Then we move up into midfield. Kessié has been, I guess you could say, hit or miss, but truthfully it's more miss this season. He's been a shell of himself since last season. Probably the contract renewal has been weighing over him. But you do get to really see that, Kessié is not as infallible as he used to be. He is oftentimes average to below average. Sometimes he's great, And when he's great, he is a really solid player. Ismail Benacer has been actually hit or miss. So some games he comes in and he's awesome, but then he makes some really careless mistakes and has given away more than a few balls that have led to goals this season. Then you have Sandro Tonali, who has been a revelation this season. I say that just for most people who didn't really believe in him. As you guys may know, my small following here will know that I was a big Tonali fan, and I've always thought this guy was by far our best signing, my favorite Milan signing in the past several years, and in my opinion, will be the best Italian midfielder very, very soon. He has absolutely zero weaknesses. He just has to stay healthy. So Tonali has been excellent, and it's really great that he's already established himself as the best midfielder of our group in just 1 year's time. Everybody said he couldn't do a double pivot. They try to overanalyze everything. Those types of people have never played the game. They don't understand that he's a kid, he can learn. Obviously, he's learned very fast, and I'm glad that he's proved me right there. Next, Bakayoko has been quite bad. He's had maybe one half of a good game against Salernitana. That's it. Hopefully he can do better, because when Kessié leaves, which I still think he's going to leave, we're going to need somebody who has that bruiser mentality, who can break up plays like Bakayoko. If Bakayoko can get back his form of a few years ago, he's going to be great, but so far he's been poor. Then we move along to the attacking mid spot, which has been Brahim Diaz. Absolutely amazing for the first start of the season. Then he got injured. I believe he had COVID as well. Has not been the same since. He's been okay, but he has not been the same since, and we are really suffering. You'll see the difference of how well we played early on when Brahim was firing on all cylinders till now. That's because the attacking midfield role on our team is super crucial. It links the midfield with the attack, and without that, we look toothless. So we still need somebody there. I'll talk about that later. You move across to the left wing. Rafael Leao versus Ante Rebic. Ante Rebic was mainly playing as a kind of false nine earlier on when Ibra and Giroud were a little bit injured. He was still doing great there. He has better center forward striker movement than Leao, so I'm glad that we have not gone back to the Leao experiment at striker. He's terrible there. Leao, on the other hand, has been amazing this season. I'm really, really glad, because I was one of the ones who wanted to just cash in, say, listen, let's cut our losses, and he's really proved me wrong. So I'm super, super happy, because you could always tell the guy had talent, and he's starting to figure it out. Then again, Pioli didn't really do the best by him last year by playing him out of position all the time. Now he's giving him consistency, playing him where he should be played, and as we've always said, he should be playing on either the left wing, or he should be playing in a two-striker system as the kind of center forward second striker, not as the primary one. That's it. That's what Rafael Leao does. He's not a super versatile player, but at what he does, he's been great. So really impressed with him once again. Too bad he's injured now. Then we move to the right side here. We have Salamakers, who I have always thought he would be a better sub than a starter. He can come on, harass the opponent team, really kind of wear down their wingers and help be a more defensive, high-energy midfielder who can help attack too and deliver some good balls here and there. He just doesn't have that great attacking throughput. He got one goal this season. Bearing in mind, it was a great goal, but that's really all he's produced, and he's not really a great danger in that zone, which has been something we've been missing and lacking, and a position that I've been kind of pounding the table on for the past year. I really wanted us to get Chiesa. Think of our team with Chiesa in it. It would be amazing in the attack. Now think of our team with Berardi in it. Would also be amazing. Instead, we have Salamakers. Now, Junior Marcias is the next guy here, who actually has shown off a pretty positive start to his Milan life. Injured a lot, barely played, now he's getting some games, and truthfully, he just looks so much more skilled, so much more capable, and overall, a better player than Salamakers. He's similar in pace, I would say. He just is smarter. I mean, maybe that's because he's older, but you can just tell some people, some players, they just get it. They know how to play, they know how to pass the ball around, and he gets it. Now, he's no world beater, and I don't think that he's going to become a world beater, just by judging off, seeing him actually play, last year on Crotone and now, but he's solid. Then again, he's also, in my opinion, a backup. If we want to go to the next level, this guy is not starter quality. He's good, and I'm really proud to hear his story and to see where he's come from, and I think he does belong on Milan for a reasonable fee, that is, and he's better than Salamakers, but still, we need somebody there. We need an all-star there. I'll move on to that, as I said, in the next video once as well. But overall, Marcias has been a positive. Salamakers has been a negative so far this season. Then you have Ibra, who is still scoring goals somehow at his very young age of 40. But he has been a little bit more out of it this season. He doesn't have the same impact he had last season. For example, if you remember the Inter game when him and Lukaku got into battle, Ibra was dominant. Every play you had to worry about, oh my gosh, what's Ibra going to do? What's he going to do now? The Inter defense was terrified. He was busy, he was active, he was stronger, he was hungrier. He's still hungry at times, but it's selective now. And you can just see with each year, he's getting weaker and weaker as far as that goes. Now, his mind is strong and it always will be, but he just doesn't have it like he did have. And as you all know from me, I have the utmost respect for Ibra, one of my favorite players of all time, and still one of the best strikers in the world, crazy enough. But he needs somebody else. We need a primary striker to go to, and Ibra should be brought on for big games, or being a sub in certain games, or starting some of the Champions League games, and then somebody else come on. That's how he should be. Unfortunately, we have to rely on him, as he's our only healthy striker at this point. Then we have Giroud, who actually has been quite solid, but I mean, you get what you pay for there. He's older, he's going to get injured some because of that too. But overall, he's been a good striker, and it's been nice to actually have another striker who has striker movement, which has helped us. Then again, injured also. And last here is Pietro Pedegri. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, Pellegrini, he sucks. What the heck? I really wouldn't worry too much about it. It was a very cheap investment. It's really a loan, and we can redeem it for a cheap fee if he's good. We knew he was made of glass, and we were hoping he put that behind him. Obviously, he hasn't, and it's too bad, because there are a couple of moments there he looks quite bright. But when he can only play for 15, 20 minutes before getting injured, you just have nothing to judge the guy on. Now, I wouldn't sell him in January like most people would. We're not losing that much by doing this loan. And if he does come good, well, it's worth the risk. It's worth the chance, right? Because what's the worst that can happen? We pay the rest of his salary for the year, which is not that much at all, and then he doesn't come out of his injury spells, and we send him back. That's it. Why would you get rid of him when you have the option to buy, right? There's just no point right now. Keep him, see what happens. Maybe he finally breaks it. Who knows, right? Just look at Caldara. He's finally breaking his injuries, and he's now been healthy for Venezia, and has been doing quite well, actually. So you never know with these types of players. Then we're going to go back to some of the subs here who don't get as much playing time. I did discuss Kalulu. He's been very, very good. Ballatore has been awful. He should only play, in my opinion, as a wing back because he's quite quick. He looks like he's very aggressive in attack, which is good. Delivers a pretty solid cross. Terrible in defending. Bad judgment. I don't know. He's like, if Teo makes dumb decisions here and there, Ballatore makes dumb decisions 5 more times. It's not a good choice. I don't know what Maldini was thinking. I think he just saw his athleticism and was like, yes, this is the guy. No, that's totally wrong. I would honestly rather run Milos Kerkez than Ballatore. So bad signing. As people know, I wanted to go get Petzela, who really wanted to come here for the same fee. He's just a much more tactical, smarter defender and a better defender because, in my opinion, you don't need a like-for-like sub, right? You don't need a Teo clone who's just worse at it. If you're going to have a sub, sometimes you want somebody who can do something different. For example, if we're in a tight game and you know Teo sucks at defending, you put on Petzela, who's actually a better defender. Boom. Now you have an actual stout defensive line with a little bit more coverage there in defense. He can still cross and get forward, but he's a more defensive side, style of left back. So why would you not bring that type of player in? I don't get it. I think Maldini made a mistake there, but I'll give him a free pass because he's done great so far. Then you go back to Matteo Gabbia. Now, people are really harping on Gabbia because he had one bad game, right? I don't really get all the hate. Every game last season that he played, and he played a lot last season because we had so many injuries yet again, he was excellent in. He was very solid. He's never really played a bad game for Milan until this season. And all of a sudden, we want to just lambaste the guy. It makes no sense. He's made a few mistakes. He barely plays, so it's understandable. But overall, Gabbia has shown a lot of promise besides his past performance or two. People who criticize him and are already going to cast judgment are the same type of people who are kicking themselves that we let Locatelli go because of maybe 1 or 2 performances that, oh man, he must not be that good. He made a mistake here or there. It's the same situation over and over and over again at Milan. We complain about these players leaving that we sold too cheap or something happened, and there is a slew of them at Milan. But this is exactly the same type of thing that we're getting into. Give the guy some confidence, let him play, see what happens. I guarantee he will come out good. Gabbia actually has some skill. He's a great passer of the ball, actually. He's not slow. He's not fast, but he's not slow like Romagnoli is. And he's got good size on him. I actually think in due time, he could be an amazing partner for Fikayo Tomori. So why would you not try that out? I don't get it. I think people are casting judgment way too soon, and in a few years' time, if we decide to sell him or replace him with a stopgap defender that we're probably going to be getting in January, we may be saying the same thing a year down the road when he starts playing for a team like a Lazio, or even maybe Juve goes for him, or somebody else picks him up, and they're like, oh man, now he's worth $30-40 million. Damn, we made a mistake there. So stop casting judgment so soon. Same type of people pretty much condemn Tonali to his fate and say, oh man, this guy, he's so unsure and insecure. Wow, I can't believe we bought this guy. Yeah, look at him now. Look at him now after 1 year. Why? Because he got playing time. Because he got playing time, he got confidence. He's playing against big opponents. Now you see Tonali playing. Do the same thing with Gabbia, you get the same results. So that's my thought on pretty much all of our team. I don't really have to discuss Tatarusanu. He's an average goalkeeper who makes terrible mistakes at times. I wish Plizzari was healthy, but he's not. So that leads me to our next point here. So overall, season-wise, that's a player recap of everybody. Pretty solid performances for the most part. A couple really hidden gems that kind of really cropped up. Marcias has been great recently. Leao has been awesome this season, which was beautiful. And then Tonali. Those are probably the biggest surprises of the season. Not surprises, but the biggest improvements of performance from last season to this season that have made us be in the position that we're in. As far as the injuries go, that is a massive thing that needs to be discussed. It is something that has been plaguing Milan for over a decade now. We always, every single year, have an injury crisis. If anybody is out there who's watched Milan for a long time, and I've been watching since 05-06, can you please tell me if there's been a year in the past 10 to 15 years that you can remember us not having a massive injury crisis besides maybe that 05-06 season? It's wild. Milan Lab is terrible. We've got to have the worst in the business. I'm sure we pay these guys just a crap ton of money, and they are not worth it. I would rather have no medical staff and see what happens, and we probably would do just the same. Something needs to change there. That actually might be the biggest signing we can possibly make as a new medical staff, because if we have all our guys healthy most of the season, we're in a way different position going into these games healthy rather than having to play Rade Krunic as a striker. I mean, look at how we had to play Liverpool this past week here when it was a crucial game that we had to win by a couple of goals. We had Ibrahimovic, who was 40, who was definitely off his game. Leao got injured, who has been one of our best players all season. Kyer is injured, who is a great big game player. Rebic is injured, who's also a great big game player and could have been the left wing while Leao was out. Davide Calabria, who in my opinion is the best right back in Serie A right now, was also out with injury. So I mean, you're looking at our starting lineup. And I forgot, Brahim Diaz just finally coming back from injury, so not really fully fit, and you can tell. So you've got Brahim Diaz, who's not fully fit. You've got Ibra, who's 40 and can only put in really a few quality minutes, per game, even though his mind wants to play that long. We have no real left wing who's good, so we have to run this strange type of hybrid thing, which doesn't really work because Krunic, while he played well, you're not going to get the same type of penetrating runs that you're going to get from Leao or from Rebic. You're not going to get that goal threat. So yes, Krunic played well, and I'm not blaming Krunic, but it just sucks that we have to put him there. He does his job, he's not at fault, but lo and behold, it's not the right guy for the job. And then we're sitting here with our right back, who Kalulu at least played well, but it does push our defense a different way when you don't have Calabria there, since Calabria is a better defender too. Plus he's a better crosser of the ball, which Ibrahimovic really benefits with. And then you have Kyer, who actually can play quite physical, and now he's out too. So you have to run this kind of makeshift lineup against Liverpool just because of a bunch of injuries. It's just wild. I mean, the amount of injuries we have is really not sustainable if we want to make a Champions League push. Fortunately, we've done well so far, but if we don't sort things out soon, and if we don't get the right people in January, I could see this going very, very similar to last season, to where all of a sudden we went from first to fighting for fourth very, very quickly. And it has to do a lot with the attack. Now, our attack has been great at times. When Diaz was healthy, when Ibra is fully firing on all cylinders, when Leao is going strong, it's pretty decent, right? We still have a hole at right wing. Marcias is solid, but we still have a hole there. But overall, it's been pretty decent. However, the second one of those big guys comes down with injury, it all falls apart. We don't look creative, we look toothless, and it's difficult. So that's the main thing here with our season. Injuries has been plaguing us again. I think we got to fix Milan Lab. That would be, as I said, the biggest signing we can make. Let's look back into the last bit of our season recap, Pioli. So we've covered the individual players, how their form has been. Then we covered kind of the injury issues, and now we'll kind of go over the coach, which is Pioli. Now, in the past, people know I have not been the biggest fan of Pioli, and I'm actually still not. I think he's solid. I think he's very good for this current Milan, but I do not believe he'll be able to take us to the next level. People say he's done the hybrid formations of this versus that, and I have seen a little bit of growth in Pioli this year, so I have to say he has not stuck with the same stagnant 4-2-3-1 every single game over and over again. Now, primarily it is, but he will do some shifting on field to make things happen. That being said, it's still not enough. He still has no idea that when he has the personnel out injured, he doesn't switch it up, which makes literally no sense. He knows one style of play, and he plays that same way. When you have all these injuries, why are you running it this way? It still makes no sense. Why not try a 3-man back line, right? Put Gabbia in there. He's solid. Then you can put Teo Hernandez on the left. You can put Florenzi on the right, who's actually going to be a great wing back because that's probably his ideal role anyways, just like Teo. You've got Tonali, you've got Kessie. You can even put in Benacer at that point to be an extra cog in the wheel who can also create. You've still got Diaz, and then you can mix it up top, right? You can actually put like Junior Marcias up there with Ibrahimovic, so he has somebody to work with. It's just, there's no ingenuity in this team, and Pioli is to blame for that. Now, as I said, he's done better. I'll give him a little bit of credit for that, but he still does not have the vision this team needs to progress. He gives consistency, but not ingenuity. Now, additionally, I think his subs have been quite bad. He very frequently, when we're behind in a game or are chasing a game or need to score a goal, makes the wrong subs. He is so rigid in his substitutes that he says, okay, Tonali is a good passer of the ball. Benacer is a good passer of the ball. So what does he do? He swaps Tonali for Benacer. Wrong. That's not how you do it, Pioli, when you're chasing a game. You put them both on because now you have two creative forces who actually can both defend too, so you're not losing that much there. When you need to win a game, you got to take some risks. You can't have Kessié sit back there and then just put on Benacer and think that's going to all of a sudden change the game. It's not. You've got to change some things up. He never does this. It's very frustrating, and most people can see this. Why would you take our best player off against Liverpool in the 60th minute, which was Tonali, our most creative player, our best dead ball specialist as well, and then put in Benacer, who, while he's solid, he's not Tonali this year. And why wouldn't you just put him on together? Kessié wasn't having a good game, so why leave him on? It just makes no sense to me. I don't understand it, and this is what Pioli's been doing a lot. Even in the past several games, he'll just pull Tonali off when we have to win a game. And ask ourselves, how many times have you seen that work? I can recall one game where Benacer came on and he made an excellent pass to Teo for the assist across to Ibra. Boom, we won the game. That's it. One game this season. Otherwise, it has not worked. So, Pioli's substitutions, as well as his kind of ability to adjust on the fly, is still, in my opinion, very poor. As I said, he's done better this season, so I can't be very insulting, but overall, he's not the coach to take us to the next level. He cannot compete at that next level because I just don't think he tactically has it in him. Now, he does have the players, behind him, which is good. He's got everybody functioning as a proper group, which I really do appreciate, but he's not the coach for the next level. And I hate to say that because he's done a great job, and I usually like to reward people who have done great, but I just see it now. I just see him losing first place. Maybe we finish third this season. Hopefully we build some consistency there, but I just feel like we're going to stay at this level and not make that next step. Okay, last thing to discuss is the Champions League. So Champions League, I don't believe I was able to make too many videos on this earlier. I think I made one for the very first Atletico game, which was disgusting, by the way. People are very disappointed we got knocked out of Champions League. I am too. I am actually glad we're not in Europa League. So I would have rather had us either qualify or be completely knocked out. So hey, at least there's one of those two. But truthfully, everybody's saying that, hey, we should have been able to do a little bit more. We got to stop getting the lead and then going behind. This is true. And yes, Liverpool is playing a little bit of a weird lineup, but so are we. And they're overall a better team. So I get it. That being said, we actually did do enough to qualify. People are very afraid to talk about refs. They think that it's a cop-out or an excuse and that you can always do better. Well, that's true to some extent. But the amount of screwed that we got in the Atleti game, the first goal in the game against Porto, the first leg, Liverpool first game, every game, there's something that happened. There may have been one game where we didn't get screwed. The calls always go against us. It's not like one or two. It's always. And especially the Atleti game. If we win that game, it's over. We're qualified. It's done. We don't even need to do anything. That's how much it mattered. So people need to stop saying, oh, there's always ref adversity. You got to fight through it. That's true. That is true. And the team should respond in kind, which they did. They fought hard. They just didn't have the quality because we had a lot of injuries. But it is the ref here. That ref in that game took Milan out of the Champions League. He then ruined our revenue because we lost tens of millions of dollars for not winning the game, plus for not qualifying for the next round. So he ruined our budget. And that, I'm sorry, is just not good enough. So I will chalk that up to the ref. I know people say it's a cop-out. It's not. He made that big of an impact. And what does UEFA do? Oh, they suspend him from coaching or from reffing big games. Oh my God. What did that do for Milan? It didn't give us points back. It didn't give us our revenue back. It's only a cop-out. And it just shows how dirty UEFA is. So that's my take on the Champions League. Yes, should we have done better, especially against Porto? Yes. But we also got screwed. Porto should not have gotten the first goal, as that was a foul on Benacer in round 1. The Atleti game I'm not even going to cover because it was so disgusting, but it needed to be said. That's the reason why we're out of the Champions League. It is actually not because of the Milan players, despite what people will say. I am actually typically a proponent of saying, hey, you guys got to fight through adversity, but in this case, there's not much you can do. Alrighty, so that pretty much is the recap of where we're at so far. Overall, Milan has been doing quite well. We are still in first place, but we are about to enter a very tough section here. The games themselves, besides the Napoli game, shouldn't be that difficult on paper, but we have injuries. Our confidence isn't as high because we just got knocked out of the Champions League. We have to run Krunic as a false 9 at some times, which, God bless his soul, he's doing well, but it's really not good, and you can see what's happening to our team. Just like last year, the second Ibra went down, we had a toothless attack. Now, you're seeing it form with having our other guys out. The more important ones this season. Leao, Diaz coming back to form. Marcias being a little bit hot or cold here. So far, pretty good overall, though. And Salonakers doing essentially nothing all season. And Rebic being out. You see all these injuries piling up, and you're just realizing Ibra without service does nothing. Ibra with service is amazing. So you need those cogs in the wheel. You need Diaz firing all cylinders. You need Leao back. You need Rebic back. That's going to bring us some victories. Without those, though, it's going to be a really tough go. And once again, we're going to start looking toothless in attack, which is exactly what I tried to push for the past year. We still haven't made that signing. We're once again going to go back and probably get a defender, which I will share my thoughts on that in the next video. Take care, everyone. As always, Forza Milan. It will be a tough road going forward, but I will be here to be with you guys and share your thoughts. If you guys have any questions, concerns, if you guys think something different or agree or disagree with my thoughts on where we're at, what we should be doing, how Pioli's been, how our Champions League run was, just type it down below. It's kind of fun to see what people say. Take care, everyone, and Forza Milan.